You're listening to the Empowered Divorce Podcast, where you practice being the chooser in your life again, one day at a time. Thanks for joining me. Hello, my amazing, beautiful listeners. Welcome. Thank you for joining me today. It's going to be a really amazing conversation. It's a conversation that I'm so excited to have my friend and colleague Geoff Steurer be a part of. We happened to be talking about this subject right before the Christmas break, and I said, I got to have you come on and share this message. It's a topic I've been wanting to share and dive into, but I really loved a lot of the things that Geoff was saying and how he says things. And I feel like when we're talking about healthy independence, when we're talking about leaning back in and connecting with someone, when we're talking about attachment, healthy attachment theory, and what being in a relationship that's healthy actually looks like, when a lot of you have no idea what that looks like, and it can feel scary to get back in another relationship. It can be scary to think that it's okay to be in a relationship with someone that has needs from you, and you have needs and have needs from someone else, and to be able to trust again that that person's going to meet the needs. So scary. I didn't want to do that for a very long time. And for a while believed that if I could get to a place where I don't need anybody, where I don't need any man, I don't need anybody, any man, and I will be okay, then that's what healthy means. That's real independence. It spoke to my feminist heart. But it doesn't work with the science of attachment theory. And that's what we're going to talk about today. He has over 25 years of experience helping not only individuals, but couples heal from betrayal and that disconnection that happens in the attachment with this type of injury. He and his wife have a podcast that really talk a lot about relationships, healing relationships after betrayal. Now, I'm having him come talk to you, my amazing divorce ladies, where your relationships didn't heal. And yet a lot of you, whether you want to admit it or not right now, would like to have a healthy relationship, but it's really scary. And not knowing what it can look like, what it's supposed to look like, I think is part of why it's so scary. At least that's how it was for me. I am so hopeful that this conversation is going to be validating, enlightening, and give you hope of what is possible for you, what you can expect as you lean back into this when you're ready. So without further ado, here's the conversation with Geoff Steurer. So I'm just going to dive right in. You've been on the podcast before, but I'll do a repeat of intro,
you're good.
who you are and all that cool stuff. But I am glad that you're willing to talk about this. I'm going to just let our audience in on a little bit of where this came from.
Sure.
Because it was super authentic and I loved it. And I always love your opinion and bouncing stuff off of you, this relational cool stuff that we get to talk about and learn as well. And that's why I enjoy the professional friendship with you too, is the collaboration and the learning that I feel like goes on. And I love learning. I think that if we think we know it all, we're in trouble and we do harm. So
Seriously.
this was one of those conversations that just happened. And I really loved what you were saying. And I feel like with this audience who have come off of betrayal, a lot of abuse associated with it, but sometimes additional, and then divorce, the thought of getting back into another relationship, trying to understand what the relationship was and all of that, I feel like what we're going to talk about today is so crucial. And here's where I want to start, because first of all, your point, and I'm going to let you make it in your own words, talking about differentiation and the difference between how that I think is getting taught, especially on social media, but how it's getting taught and looked at around relationships. I want to help women understand who have been in a very enmeshed relationship, trying to break free and get that independence back, which is a healthy part of differentiation, but scared as hell to get into another relationship, don't trust, want to keep a lot of the independence that a lot of them are finding and feeling, also need to understand that being in a healthy relationship means healthy dependency. And there is a balance there, but this idea that we don't need to need people is a message that I see getting sent around. And I want to talk about that because I don't believe in that. I don't think that aligns with attachment theory science. And I think you feel the same.
100%.
So can you start with just talking about what you see in your work with this idea of differentiation?
Yeah, absolutely. So I don't think differentiation is harmful. I'll just say that out the gate.
Right.
I think differentiation as the only strategy is harmful. And healthy attachment has two sides of the same coin. And one is independence or dependence, or as it's put other places, that tension between holding on to ourselves and holding on to someone else. And both of those matter. My experience with betrayal communities, my experience with even just, I think it's very popular on social media. I think it's very popular. Mel Robbins writes this book, and I don't even know who she is. Like, let them. There's a lot of models and a lot of just influencers, a lot of people out there that are just basically saying the healthiest people out there don't need other people and are not affected by other people. And you just do your own thing and screw everybody else who cares about how you impact them or whatever. They're weak. And there can be these messages that I think sound nice on its face and maybe feel empowering and at some level even feel really predictable, stable, and secure. Because it's like, yeah, if I can wall myself up, if I can have a fortress around me, I am not going to stick my neck out again. I am not going to be the idiot who lets somebody regulate my body and my emotions. That is not going to happen. That did not go well for me. Right. So of course you're going to swing to this differentiation side. You're going to swing to this independent side as an overcorrection, as a reset. I 100% understand that, respect that, get it. And as a short-term strategy for safety, it's absolutely what I recommend. I recommend that people find themselves, find their voice, take a minute, step back,
Get grounded, get regulated, get
untangle yourself. Get untangled from it all. Like where do you start and stop? Where do they start and stop? Like figure out those edges. Like what is this exactly? Now, in a perfect world, all of us would have done that when we were young people, adolescent, young adults. Nobody does, but most of us would. That's on paper. That's how it's supposed to work, right? You find yourself, you know yourself as a kid, identity formation, etc. And then you pair bond and regulate each other, and you have these two really healthy people. There might be a few unicorns out there who did that. My experience is that we probably err on the side of over-connecting, right? We go into like a hyper-dependence for a lot of us when we're infatuated in love, and it's like, this is going to solve everything. Love cures all. And then we end up in this place of total enmeshment for a lot of us. And then it's like, you got to split it out. And this is where a lot of people look at divorce or look at separation or look at these really extreme boundaries as ways of finding themselves again. And so again, I'm not against doing that work of finding yourself. If you're in a relationship that's workable, meaning that there's not active betrayal, all the things, right? You're in a relationship that is salvageable, that's workable, you can find yourself inside of an attachment. In fact, you'll find yourself better from a secure attachment than you would going out by yourself alone trying to find yourself. If you're in a relationship that is unsafe, that is full of betrayal and secrets and all the things that we all know are so destructive, you're not going to find yourself inside that relationship. You're going to need to create enough separation to figure out, again, where you are, where they are, and then you re-enter either that or a different relationship on completely different terms. I just want to state as clearly as I can, I'm probably repeating myself, I'm not against differentiation in the same way I'm not against dependency.
Right.
We just have to know what they each are and how they fit together and how we're wired for both. And to favor one over the other creates an imbalance and I think a false sense of security.
Ooh, can you talk more about that? Because exactly. Why does that give a false sense of security?
Because it feels good to like believe that other people don't impact us. That feels good on the surface.
It feels so good and it feels so protected and it feels so safe.
Yeah, and that probably can be true for the idiot who cuts you off in traffic, right? But even that affects us. It can ruin our commute.
I know, right? Yeah, that's
And
mine.
so we're impacted by other humans. There's no way to not be affected. Again, Sue Johnson talked about it like other humans regulate our nervous systems, our bodies, and our emotions. We cannot be neutral with that.
Right.
And I'm going to get over it a lot faster if it's some stranger who cuts me off in traffic than I will if it's my wife who raises her eyebrow weird at me before I leave for work. And then I'm wondering all day, what was that about?
Yeah.
Right. That's the power of primary attachment. When it's my person who I'm bonded to, who I put my life in their hands, that's the false sense of security. If like, well, if I can act like whatever they're doing doesn't bother me and I'm fine and I don't care, that's me telling myself that this is so painful, I can't let it get to me, but I don't know what else to do except just create this illusion that I'm somehow unaffected by things.
Yeah.
And that can happen either direction. With differentiation is walling up, and then overdependence is like, well, if I just know everything and I'm so close and we're so fused together and I know everything and we're so like, that'll be really safe. But they're both false securities. Like the healthy security is really learning about how to hold that tension of me and us together. Not easy to do.
It is so not easy to do.
No.
And it is always a practice. And
Yes.
the term self-aware
Mhm.
for me is like the foundation. Like the more we
There you
become
go.
aware of our feelings, and this is where
Mhm.
I agree with you, differentiation, I call it control bubbles. Like this is my feeling, this is my thoughts, this is my body, this is my emotion. And I just need to know what's happening within me versus, and I'll use myself as an example. I was so disconnected from my own self-awareness and my body and my emotions and overly aware and hyper attuned and focused on my partner that
Mhm.
I hence lost myself. Because
Right.
in order for me to feel regulated and feel that dependency, and I'm air quoting for those that can't see, that I was like safe was if I could fix him and attune to him and regulate him. And so
Yep.
that's the unhealthy part of it. But I was so disconnected from me. So I think this idea of differentiation comes in. It feels when I learned about it, it was like, oh yeah, that's what was missing is I lost myself in that
Yeah.
connection. And I did, and I needed to come back to myself.
Yes. Yes.
But what I see happen a lot of times is this I call it hyper independence.
Yes.
And it's still, we're just swinging on the other side of the pendulum. And hell yeah, I lived there
Mhm.
for a while. And I love how you validated that. I think there is, and I see this with almost every one of my clients, there is a swing almost to the point where it's like, and I was here, like, I I don't even want a man to look at me. Like, don't you dare even look at me as you're walking across the other side of the street or I'm gonna don't. Like so
That's right.
far, so far. I think there's
Yep.
a level of protection that does need to happen when we're
Mhm.
untangling the web that the
That's right.
relationship created. But
That's
I
right.
don't see women coming back to the middle of secure, if we're talking attachment theory. We don't come back to that secure where we allow ourselves to be vulnerable. We risk rejection, putting yourself out there authentically. We stay way over here on the other side of that pendulum.
Mhm.
And then that's why can't I get into a relationship? Why can't I trust? Do I always
Yeah.
get put in these different relationships? Because to your point, over here on the other side is still not actually safe.
Yeah, and it's not safe because it's not how we're wired, and we fight that biology and that wiring, and we intellectually talk ourselves into something that is not it's not our birthright. It's not how we're built. And the pain of getting hurt in an attachment where we really those of you listening, where you were so trusting, you put your life in someone else's hands, you allowed them access to your heart, to your body, to your soul, and they abused it. They took advantage of it. They discarded it. All the things. It's awful. Patricia DeYoung, she's one of my favorite authors on the topic of shame, and she talks about anytime there's abuse and trauma, there's going to be shame. And she says her definition of shame, I think, is so profound. She says shame is so the word is disintegration, but if you slow it down, the disintegration of yourself in the presence of a dysregulated other.
It's really profound.
Yeah, let's take that in for a second, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when you're in a safe, secure attachment with somebody else, you're shame-proof, right? It's like, let's take parent-child, okay? Just a little, sometimes easier, cleaner.
Yeah.
I get romantic relationships are not parent-child, but there are so many parallels. But here's like for a child who disappoints a parent and there's a break, right? The child's self is now at risk of being disintegrated, right? Am I a good kid? Am I a bad kid? I'm scared. Mom and dad mad at me, whatever they're like in this moment. Parent redirects the kid. In a secure attachment, that parent's going to come back and hold them close and say, hey, mistakes are for learning. It's okay. I'm still here. I'm not going anywhere. This isn't the end of the world. And then the child feels relief, right? Then the child integrates now. Okay, I'm still lovable and I can still make mistakes, right? Two parts. I do bad things sometimes and I'm a good person. I feel lonely, but I'm still loved. Like that integration multiplied by hundreds and maybe thousands of interactions with a secure relationship leaves us pretty intact as humans, and we're pretty shame resilient at that point. When you're in the presence of a dysregulated other that you depend on, they aren't circling back to reassure you that you're safe and that you're secure. If they're gaslighting you and lying to you and manipulating you and beating you up and all the ways you can betray somebody, obviously they're dysregulated big time.
Yeah.
But then your self now becomes disintegrated, meaning that you're having to like perform here, pretend there, accommodate this, shove this down, act in ways you don't even recognize. And now you're disintegrating yourself and you're becoming so shame-bound because of that attachment. It's now not safe to be in this because you're losing yourself. They're dysregulated. You're now dysregulated and disintegrating. And so that's why I get it. At that point, you're just like, I cannot survive. It is life and death for me. And so I'm going to err on the side of reclaiming myself, which is the right thing to do. I'm going to reintegrate myself. I'm going to I'm going to put myself in safe connections to remind me, right, with other women, other groups, other people, loved ones, friends, family, church leaders, God, whatever your safe, secure attachments are, you're going to reconnect to that integration of self and go, okay, I'm not this and that. I'm not what they said I was. I do trust myself. I can see things clearly. I do have good instincts. I'm not a bad person. All that reintegration happens, but it can't stop there because, right? It's like, that'll feel amazing and that'll be such a healing thing. But like, because we're wired to co-regulate and we're pair bonders, you will feel a pull toward having to either resist that or embrace it. And that's the scary part we're talking about today is now with that fully integrated self, you're actually not fully 100% completely healed in isolation. You think
No,
about that.
like
Yeah.
this oh, sorry. I was just gonna say, because that's the idea that I think sometimes gets put out there or assumed is I need to be healed, period, in order to get into another relationship. And I'll be honest, I remember thinking that, like, I got to just heal myself and get to this 100% place before I can get into another relationship. And it doesn't work that way. And real quick, a story that comes to mind is when I was dating Scott, there had been a lot of dating, a big, huge gap, and then got back into it, met Scott. And one thing that he said to me early on when we were dating that was really profound to this point, we were talking about my triggers and a lot of the things that they're going to come with me as part of being in a relationship with me that I was still aware of and working through. But anyways, he said, well, I hear that and can appreciate all of what you're saying there. And I think there's a level of healing that you're not going to be able to do unless you're in a relationship. And of course,
Boom.
he meant me, like he's like with me.
He's all, by the way,
I
that's
will be the
me.
one. But it was this moment, and the way that he said it and blah, it struck so true to me.
Yeah.
And then, of course, further dating, marriage. I tell the ladies that I work with who are dating again, the first 2 years solid of our marriage was all of that, was these
Yeah.
triggers I didn't know would come up, came up, other triggers that came up that I thought I had, quote, healed, but it allowed me to look at it again with this safe, secure person
There
to
you go.
help co-regulate that nervous system.
Yup.
And we're on almost 8 years now, and it's like, "Oh, this is what healthy, secure attachment is actually
Yes.
supposed to look like."
Yeah.
Do need someone, and that is okay.
Yes. You need the right person. You need the right attachment.
Yes.
You don't just need anyone. You need someone that
Correct.
is right, someone that will help you. The flip side of that shame, right, formula she talked about is integrating yourself in the presence of a regulated other,
Yes.
right?
Yep.
That's what you experience, and think about all the ways you unlock new layers of healing of
Oh
your
my
own
god.
shame, of your own attachment schema, of your own beliefs about yourself, about men, women, relationships, God, all the things,
Oh,
unlocking all those things, and you would never have accessed those in isolation, telling yourself that you were safe.
right. Right.
And you were safe from what you were in, 100%.
Correct.
But you won't really settle down, and this is highly unpopular to say this, I
No, it
recognize.
really is. It really, really is right now, and I get that, and yet I can't deny what I've experienced.
Yeah.
I can't deny what I've been through, experienced as a single woman who was happy being single. I felt
Yeah,
secure, like I was doing well. But
absolutely.
but to your point, the layer and layer and layer of safety that he continues to show up in and provide, it is remarkable how much it's allowed me to go even deeper and deeper, like into childhood stuff, into all kinds of stuff
That's right.
that now feels safe to look at and explore in myself.
Right.
My own self-awareness, I'm gonna go back to that term, has increased exponentially
Mhm.
because of this safe, secure
Mhm.
attachment.
Yeah, I love that. I'm so happy for you. It's just and that's what I see happen over and over again. It's again, yeah, it's this there's this myth out there that, like, the healthiest people don't need other people. The healthiest people just choose other people, and, like, "I don't need you, I just want you."
Mhm.
And it's like, that's not how we're wired. Babies don't come to this earth and be like, "Well, I don't really need you. I just want you. I just want the milk and the touches and the voice and that's so crazy. Like,
Mhm.
and we don't somehow switch off that wiring and go from needing other people to regulate us to just wanting that sort of as an option. And
Right.
take your time. Take your time. Don't like it's okay. Like spend time there, but just don't stop there. That's my message is like give dependency a chance. Give healthy dependency a chance.
Healthy
And
dependency
I'm
check.
telling you, any woman that's been betrayed is going to have a radar. If they're doing their work, they're going to have better radar to understand. It doesn't mean you still won't get hurt or somebody can't lie to you, right? But you're going to see it and experience it, and you're going to trust yourself better and faster
Mhm.
and understand that, like, yeah, I definitely want dependency, but not like this isn't
Right.
it.
Right. Well, and I think I might, if I'm correct, differentiation, I think, was introduced as a way to break the enmeshment. So my thought right now, as you said, that goes to emotional, like healthy emotional connection and regulation. So like, to piggyback off of everything we're talking about, one of the things that I also realized is that emotional connection and the deeper emotional connection that can happen when we have people that are safe and secure in our life. That closeness that we can feel with someone emotionally when it is rooted in that safe, secure attachment is
Yeah.
so much more fulfilling than what I felt. And it felt fulfilling on my own. It is
Yeah.
so much deeper. Can we talk about, like, I want to bridge a gap where women that are still very afraid to go into romantic attachment right now, can you talk about how they can experience a little bit of this outside of a romantic attachment where they're still leaning in and allowing themselves to be seen and have needs and have people meet their needs outside of the romantic attachment we're talking about. Kind of bridge
Oh,
that gap,
absolutely.
so to speak.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I think this is why betrayal communities are so powerful, whether it's a group or just opening up to some different loved ones, confidants, whether it's family or friends or other women that have been through this, because that's all co-regulation.
Mm.
Letting someone hold you while you cry is to me a really powerful visual of, yeah, can you feel better after a good cry by yourself? Sure. But man, it feels way better to have somebody pulling you close and saying like, you're not alone, I'm here for you. Like we are just defenseless against that. It's so powerful for us.
It is. Okay, I
Yeah,
I I don't wanna interrupt your thought, but what you just said
you're
right there,
fine.
visual really sticks out to me, and I can hear women say and even feel grief right now as you're saying that, because that's one of the
Mhm.
hardest things after divorce is
Mhm.
that person wasn't safe and all the things that they did, and yet they are really missing that
That.
person. And then when it's but that person harmed me, so then what happens is I can't have that, and we're in this do you see where I'm going? Like,
Yep.
this hurts and I'm grieving that I don't have that. I want that. And what I see happen is, like, now we're negotiating with ourselves and our values here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe I take the shit to get that I miss
Mhm.
of being
Mhm.
held while I cry because 'cause I'm in my bed
Mhm.
crying at 3 AM now by myself and it sucks.
Yeah, you're basically
I can
describing betrayal blindness,
exactly.
right? You're just describing the betrayal blindness, which is what that's why we're defenseless. It's like I would rather put up with and ignore, just block it out, and it's not even conscious half the time, most of
Mhm.
the time,
Hmm.
because the need for co-regulation is so much stronger than my own safety. And that's the part that leaves people feeling stupid and crazy.
Why
And
did
you're
I
not
stay so long? What's mhm.
yeah, and you're not either one of those. You're just
No.
a human that's wired to bond. And so you're going to privilege it's like asking somebody to choose between oxygen and food, right? It's like,
Mm,
oh, I don't know, I need both of them.
yeah,
Yeah, I need safety, but I also need connection.
right.
And connection is safety. Like it's just crazy making.
Yeah,
So the thing is that how do you bridge that? You can experience co-regulation with people you're not romantically or sexually bonded to. And we all do it all the time. Even just being out in public with strangers in a park can be regulating. It's like, oh, I'm in the sea of humanity and it feels nice to not be alone,
mhm,
right?
mhm.
That's a very simple, low lift sort of way to get a little bit of co-regulation. And of course, the closer you get to somebody and the more you reveal yourself and open up and connect, the more you're going to get that. And it's powerful, and we need to have lots of that in our lives in different places. Even congregational singing in church, right? Like people used to sing in families and in communities, and lots of cultures just have singing sort of rituals around in bars and whatever. Like
Yeah,
the only place we really get congregational singing is the national anthem at a football game, and we're not even the ones singing it half the time,
right?
or in church on Sunday. And that vibration, that feeling of being with other people, I'm just saying co-regulation's everywhere. And you just need to know how to look for it. The closer you get to somebody, the more it's going to directly impact your healing. And so practice that, embrace it, look for it, find it, and allow yourself to have different flavors and varieties of it. It's wonderful. But
Yeah.
that bridge of like, how do I now start to step into taking a risk on somebody else? Is that
Mm.
where you're at? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, so you're validating that middle space of
Yes.
being aware of ways that we can co-regulate outside of the
Right.
romantic, because that's gonna keep you from trying to be super uber protective,
Mm.
and on your own island. But then, yeah, now it's, okay, maybe I wanna learn how to lean in to that romantic
Yeah.
space, but still feeling very, very scared and protective.
Did you find in your healing, Amy, that you had to separate like the longing for closeness and attachment, security, and all that stuff from your ex? Like meaning that because sometimes those two things can get conflated. They can get I don't need that because I was attached to that person. So
Yeah.
right. So
So
the healing is like
You got to drop the
No,
rope.
I do need this, right? I do need this, but I just don't need it with that person, but I still need it, and it's healthy, and I'm not going to contaminate the idea of that based on the abuse I endured, right?
This is the differentiation. This is what I call dropping the rope, the emotional
Yep.
divorce, whatever you want to call it. Yes. Because if there's
Yes.
still any meaning making, identity
Mm-hmm.
attachment of the story, the experience, what happened when you were victimized, if any of that you are
Yep.
carrying with you forward, that's the problem.
Right. And you end up throwing the baby out with the bathwater. You kind of like throw the whole thing
Right.
away and just say, well, I guess none of it works. And it's like, well, actually, it works really well with the right person.
Right. Right.
In fact, it's worked really well for millions of people, and you ought to give it a shot. Here's the thing: before you even start to attempt opening up a romantic co-regulation attachment type dance with somebody else like that, you got to open that up inside yourself as a healthy possibility. Like even just wrapping your head around the fact that that can exist for you,
Yeah.
and expect that it can for you, and absolutely don't settle for some crap imitation of it,
Right. I
like love
love
bombing or all the other ways that it might feel nice, or it's like, oh, one night stand, like, okay, yeah, finally I'm like getting some co-regulation. It's like, no, that's not what
mm,
that is actually.
it's not. It's actually it's interesting you said that. I had a client that did just that, and she kept saying, "I feel so safe with them. I feel so safe with them." And she was just having sex, and it felt so good. It felt so different. And
Yeah.
what we parceled out was, "Oh, so you're experiencing consent for the first time." She's like,
Ooh, yeah.
"Oh." I said, "So what you're doing is you're actually making sexual consent relational safety."
I love that.
And she's like, "Oh," because he
Yeah.
ended up dumping her and it was such a shock and it came out of nowhere for her. And she's like,
Right.
"Well, what
Oh
went
no.
wrong? I felt so safe." And I was like, "Well, you were experiencing sexual consent and that's new and different for you."
Right.
But
Which is
that was
awesome.
great.
Right.
But that was not relational safety in the way that
Correct.
they're talking about.
Yeah. So you have to come into it again. If you and I had $1 for every time I had to say go slow, right? You have to go into it slowly. It takes babies 18 months or so to really form a secure attachment. And so why do we think as adults that have been burned pretty hard, babies haven't even been burned yet? It takes them a while. And so
Yeah.
for an adult who's been burned, it's like give yourself a minute. Like
Mhm.
look for the patterns, and you can co-regulate with somebody without ever taking your clothes off. You can co-regulate with them without over committing or over promising anything. You can
Right.
co-regulate and start to try out dependency, because you got to hold on to yourself, and you're starting to practice on holding on to someone else or letting someone hold you. But you can't get in so close that you can't release each other. Like there has to
Ooh,
be,
say that freaking again.
you can't hold on so tight and grab each other so closely, especially in the throes of like your client, right? Experiencing safety and attachment in this moment again. You can't hold on so tightly. You don't have the option to release each other. Like even in my 30-year marriage, right? My wife and I need release from each other occasionally, right? You probably see this with Scott. Like you need
Oh, yeah.
moments where it's just like, you know what? I need a day without conversation today. My nervous system is blown.
Yep.
Or I don't really feel like having sex tonight. Or maybe for a couple nights, like I just need to whatever. So, right, that release, and it has to be okay. It has to be okay to say no. It has to be okay to take a
Always.
breather. So, healthy attachment is the ability to come close and hold tight and release and have all of that stay intact inside the container. And when you're practicing attachment and starting to practice dependency with somebody, if you can't move in and out of that closeness without major consequences, then you're not in a secure attachment.
No.
I had a client recently who was scared to break up with her boyfriend. And I said, I'm not trying to play games with you or him, but I said, you can speed this up really quickly by telling him that you need to take a break from the relationship for a little bit. I said, doesn't mean you have to break up. Doesn't mean you're just asking for a little space, a little break. You're not married. You don't have kids, like just a
Mhm.
little breather. She did that. And within an hour, he had spam called her 127 times.
There's a reality check.
right? And she was like, "I had no idea how unstable this was until that happened." She's like, "Holy cow."
Yeah.
And so and then she ended up breaking up with him after that. Like, she was like, "That's not something I can be close to or I kind of." She was like, "Back away." Let's say, like,
Yeah.
if he could not let go of her, like, that's not safe.
No.
What did Sting say? "If you love him, set him free," right? Beautiful song. If you love
Yeah.
someone, set them free. That's the
Yeah.
differentiation piece, but it's also rooted in respect, co-regulation, and trust,
Mm-hmm.
and when those things are all firing, man, it's like you can feel free and secure at the same time. It's the wildest thing, right?
It is so well. And again, I'm going to repeat what you said earlier. This doesn't get talked about enough. It is, I think, really foreign. And when you were talking, my first thought was like that episode in Friends where like Rachel takes a break and Russ cheats. And it's like all of these TV shows and movies and what again, social media that like teaches about taking a break. I just want to validate if any of you are thought that too about where break Rachel and Ross. But like this is one of the things that I'll teach my ladies in my workshop, dating workshop is when you start to date someone, take a break. Like
Yeah.
because oftentimes
Build
you
it in.
start to see each other every day, every day, every day. And I want you to, yes, build in a week or two break.
Yeah.
Then that is going to show you some key information. So I really love that you shared that example. It made me remember that's a really, really great advice. Great advice.
Yeah. Well, and yeah, because you're probably going to err on the side of overdependence when you get infatuated with somebody. And
Oh,
especially if you've been
sure.
holding your breath for years and you finally find somebody who holds you and loves you and it seems to be safe and all the things seem to be in place,
Yeah.
you're gonna do what we all do, which is to overattach. That's
Mhm,
normal. We
mhm.
like crave it so much.
Yeah.
And so do you have the option to have space, right? Do you have that option?
Mhm. And if it scares you to hear what we're saying right now, if you're like in that space and even the thought of taking a little bit of a break scares you, that's your work. And I'm going to go back to the phrase self awareness.
Yeah.
That is where you've got to look at you and hold on to you
Yeah.
in that moment,
Mhm.
not shove it, ignore it, and numb out to it. Cause now you're going to go back into losing yourself cycle patterns.
Yeah, because again, I'll go back to Patricia DeYoung's shame definition. I'll say it again.
Yeah. Yeah. Please.
Shame is the disintegration of self in the presence of a dysregulated other. And if you basically sell out yourself by disintegrating and like disappearing and like not holding a space for you and how you feel and what you need and what you're detecting and sensing, and you're basically just saying like none of that matters, like I'll just blend into this person or I'll just give up myself.
Hmm.
You're now dysregulated, they're going to be dysregulated. And if you hold space for yourself as an integrated person, as a whole person who deserves to be seen, heard, taken seriously, held, all those things, and they can stay regulated in the presence of all that, you might have something pretty solid happening there.
Yeah.
That's a good sign. And dysregulated, by the way, when you're wondering what does that look like in the other person? Well, it looks like 127 spam calls, first of all. But it also can look like silent treatment. It can look like
I was going to say
um,
covert punishment.
covert punishments. It could look like compliance and people pleasing and not being honest with you about how they really feel. It can look like addiction,
Mhm,
hiding secrets,
mhm.
screen addiction, all the things. It can be a lot of intense sort of like interrogation and questions and like insecurity and checking, and it can be all kinds of stuff. You're gonna know it's not gonna feel peaceful.
Exactly. I love that you threw that in there. It's not going to feel peaceful. You're going to have confusion. You're going to wonder,
Feel relaxed. Yeah.
going to feel relaxed. And again, that's what has blown my mind. And I'll say to Scott, even to this day, like, are you for real? Is this for real? Is this really a thing for so many years to not know what that looks like or feels like? Y'all, I'm not playing. Like, we're being serious. It's another level
Hmm.
of intimacy that I have with myself.
Yeah.
because it's safe to have with myself for the first time in my entire life, but also to share that experience with a partner. It's remarkable. It's
And
absolutely
that each
remarkable.
person listening deserves.
100% deserves.
Absolutely.
And then if you don't feel like you do, then that's book a call. We got to talk because
Yeah.
there's your self-awareness work.
There's some work. Yeah, that's work. And it's
Mhm.
like just because you don't have it or you don't feel like you can have it doesn't mean it's not available to you or that you shouldn't have it. It's absolutely, again, I'll start with the birthright thing as babies, as humans, when we start out our journeys on the earth. Like nobody looks at a brand new baby and says, well, that one shouldn't get everything you just described.
Right?
It's like, no, we believe that they deserve to be regulated and connected and secure and safe and to become their best self. Like we want all those things. We want the independence and dependence. We want them to have the package. And if we don't outgrow that
No.
birthright.
And we
And
don't expect that baby to perform or be or do in order to be lovable and enough and
no,
worth
no.
meeting all of those needs. There's nothing that child needs to do. In fact, they do all the things that are disgusting and we do it. And it's
Yeah.
annoying or hard or sleep depriving. And it's like not a big deal. So that those of you that are on the over functioning side, like I was, where I felt like I had to perform and be and do
Right.
in order to be lovable and chosen and worthy of that relationship. It's all a lie.
It's
It's
not
not
a thing.
real and it's not a thing. And learning to
No.
acquire this, it takes time. We have to slow down. We have to do that work. But I really appreciate you coming on and helping to really clarify what healthy really looks like within ourselves in a relationship and give people permission again. That's a way I want to phrase
Yeah.
it. Permission again to
Yeah.
have needs, be needed, and meet the needs of another in a safe, healthy relationship is
Absolutely.
remarkable.
Yeah. And I'll just say this I'm a therapist trained in emotionally focused couples therapy, which a lot of people struggled with this title of Sue Johnson's book, Hold Me Tight, because it just felt like, well, sure, but like, what about the differentiation piece, right? Like people are just like, is that all there?
Yeah.
And I'll just say this, that I'm all for couples learning how to send clear messages, regulate each other's bodies and emotions, all those kinds of things. And when you are trying to fix a relationship that's been racked by secrets, betrayal, addiction, abuse, those kinds of things. If you're trying to heal that relationship by just jumping right into attachment work, it's going to actually make things worse and more unsafe for the betrayed partner. And you can do all the trauma sensitive healing and all that you can do things in the proper order with still holding an attachment framework, meaning that you still honor and respect the impact of attachment, but you don't put the betrayed partner in a place of depending on, like we talked about earlier, it's like you need that space and that separation to rediscover and untangle like what's actually going on here. And
Mhm.
so if you're hearing this and saying like, well, I just need to jump into attachment, I need to really work on how I affect my partner and all this other stuff, like, yes, there is a timing for all of that. But if you're hearing this and you're in the early days, weeks, months of discovery and trying to find safety and you've not even had a disclosure and there's still a lot of uncertainty, then this is not the time for attachment-based couples work.
No, no.
We're talking about people that have found some safety, found some stability, and are starting to inch their way back into connection again. That's where our message is pointed today.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and a lot of these listeners are divorcing or divorced.
Good. Okay.
And so they're not necessarily in trying to fix that relationship, but what like we said before, there's still, I think, a lot of entanglement, emotional
Yeah.
entanglement that's still happening with that ex or soon to be ex that is still affecting the attachment.
Yes. Well,
And
even promises of like, well, let's just work on the relationship, or we just need to communicate better, or maybe we can still fix this. And
right,
right.
right.
So all that stuff. So yeah.
All of that stuff, trying to figure out how to
Hmm.
co-parent and still talk,
Yep.
interact, but not be attached. It's such a freaking mess, but
Mm. Yeah.
We go super, super slow. I think this is really nuanced a little bit too with everyone's situation.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna put that disclaimer
Yeah.
out there. Notice how this lands, y'all. And if there's something that feels like, "Ooh, that's a lot," or you feel a little anxiety, write down what's coming up for you and take it to your professional because you
Yeah.
might be mishearing something or you got to work on something. And that's your work is the self-awareness part. And that's
Yeah.
being a healthy, secure person is looking at that, not
Yeah.
running
Is it the
away.
right time for me to be looking at that? Or is that
Mhm,
something for later? Does that
mhm.
apply to me? These are great questions. And
Yeah.
there's no way we could address every single unique dynamic.
No.
So that's the good thing. You can do that work.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Because if I heard this when I was in my man hating stage, I would be like flipping the bird. Be like, nope, never gonna need or be needed ever again. So
Yeah,
I
I've had some FUs, Jeff, thrown in my direction. So it's fine. Like it's made me more aware, more sensitive, more thoughtful about this stuff. But I also think it's important. We have to be sensitive to where people are at, and at the same time, name the patterns that are healthy.
teach what's possible. And that's
That's
what
right, and let
doing
people choose in, right?
exactly. I want
So
everyone to know what's possible, what's
that's
available,
right.
because I
Yep.
end every episode with you're the chooser in your life and you get
Hmm.
to create the life that you want because you can. And if you don't know what's available, you can't choose or create. So
That's
that's
right.
really where we're coming from today. And as always, I just love our conversations and could go and go and go. But I'm going to respect your time and our listeners' time. Thank you so much. Thank
Anytime. I love talking to you. I love talking about this stuff, and wish I could high five everybody listening and just say, hang in there, keep going, keep doing your work. Things get better. I do believe that.
Yeah, you do. Thanks, Jeff.